Well, what do you do when you can't get your unemployment money? Well, or they cut it, or you can't get the phone calls answered, or you've been on hold. You should get more money. You should get at least get some money. All that kind of stuff is happening at the unemployment offices, and it's hard to blame them directly, but they're the only people you can go to because they have the money and they distribute it. Now, here's what's happening in Maryland. They're filing a lawsuit, against the unemployment office because they, first of all, stop the unemployment, and they think that's against the law because the federal government says you have to give it. So they're fighting that to get that. There's 25 states that aren't giving the extra $300 a week anymore, and people, have paid into unemployment and they think they deserve it and things like that. And that's a interesting discussion, I would think. But this is serious stuff. I mean, so many people, particularly in Maryland, even, and I'm sure your state, are not getting all the benefits. They screw it up, and truthfully, it's not the unemployment office's fault. They have so much work that they've been given, and of course, not enough budget to help them. But you have to do something about it, because if you don't do anything about it, the system won't change. And so that's the reason, you should be aware of this, and it messes you up. Well, first of all, you go to the unemployment office, and to find that, you go to just put careeronestop.org, and there you could find all your unemployment offices for any state and things like that. So that's careeronestop.org. So you start with them and see the system. Okay. Now, when that doesn't happen and you call it for a couple of times, you can't get your money, or you're complaining that you should deserve the money, or you want to complain about why are they stopping the unemployment when the federal government is still paying them the money, that's where to start. Okay. When that doesn't work, like I'm assuming it won't, but it may, and you have to go through the process. So it's important to do that. Okay. Then what you want to do is find your representative. And if you go, these are your elected officials. And I would go to your federal and your state, because they could call the office better than you can. They have backstore numbers and things like that. So if you you thought you should get more and you can't get anybody on the phone to solve your problem at the unemployment, your elected official, they're the only people that have power over these people, because they could get laws changed to screw them over or to get them better or whatever. See, they're the people that could make that office work better than anybody else in the country. Yeah. So you're elected official because they have the budget, they make the laws to make the unemployment work. So if they don't know about it, then they're just the unemployment office is still just going to do the same thing, because they're overwhelmed with no money or whatever. So you got to let them know. And this is in the democracy, how this works. So you got to bitch. You got to be a bitch. Nobody likes a bitcher, but man, you really have to do something. And of course, be polite about it. And that's important. So to find your representative, go to commoncause.org and then find your representative. And you put in your phone number or whatever, and it goes. Now, particularly at the state level, there's one thing that you want to know is to call your governor's office. See, the governor is really in charge of that. He's the big boss of the unemployment. So if you go to the Governors Association, and that's NGA, National Governors Association.org, NGA.org. There's a list of all the governors, and you can contact them directly and complain. You have to, because if they don't hear about it, they won't do anything. They got another fire drill. And this is important for you. This is why you pay your taxes. This is why you pay unemployment insurance or whatever. So you got to do this, because they're going to lose a job if you're really pissed off and not vote for them, right? So that's why they have a motive to move. Nobody in the unemployment office has really a motive to help you. They're getting the same pay no matter what. I mean, they certainly do. I mean, they're kind people. I'm sure most of them, they just can't. But they don't have power to change the system. They're stuck in what the law says, and they're doing their best with the money they have. So that's why you have to focus in on elected officials, or nothing happens, okay? So you have your legislation, which is your commoncause.org. And then you have your governor, which is the elected official there, runs the whole shop in your state. And that's nga.org and the National Governors Association. And there's so many people, and even personally, I know of people that should be getting a lot more, and they're not yet. They're waiting 6 months, 7 months, or whatever to get it. And it's hard to blame the offices doing it, because they just have to follow the laws and the money that's they're giving them. And so many claims are on hold because of some technicality that you're not getting the money. So you got to shake that loose. No one answers the phone there. I know. So that's why the elected officials, that's where you can get an answer. That's where you could get somebody to help. Maybe. But that you have to try. What else do you have to do? Sit and bitch and do nothing? And wait to vote? Yeah, I mean, that's certainly one thing too. But there are things to do. And that's what you can do, is you go to the unemployment office initially, and you can find that by going careeronestop.org. Okay, if that doesn't work, you go to your state elected official, and you go to commoncause.org, find your representative, and you get all the lists there. And I'll put these links in the description if you're watching this on YouTube. And then also you call your governor's office, and then you find that by nga.org. National Governors Association. And if you don't, this is the way to get them moving. Otherwise, it's the status quo. And there's, you got to be heard, or they have to know to do something. Okay. And I'm sure they've known it, but another piece will be enough to maybe push them exactly where they should be doing and solving this problem, and not just passing the buck all the time. Okay. Because this is money you pay for your taxes and everything. You have a right to complain. And the poor bureaucrats at the unemployment office, they're really powerless in a way. And that's why the people with power in the system are the elected officials. So you got to go to elected officials, beat on the suckers, show up on their doorstep, camp out there until they do something, go to the governor's office. I mean, unfortunately, that's the only thing, and the system is there for all of us. Sometimes you got to make it work for you. It's not going to work for itself, right? And maybe you'll be some piece of the puzzle to make it a better system for other people. That's why you're not only doing it for yourself, you're doing it to make it better for other people so they don't have the problems you have. That's the power, I think, in complaining. It's not that you're a crybaby. No, it's you're trying to make where we live better for other people too. Okay. Well, you can always find a selfish reason to do it. That's a good motivator.